go to the Millennial Mindset. So LJ and Veronica, as I mentioned, co-founders of the National Millennial Community. We had the good fortune of being introduced to the community through AEF, and they spoke both at an AEF board meeting and at the ANA, and their perspective is really valuable. Veronica is now in the workforce at Canvas Blue, which is part of a unit within Interpublic. And LJ, as you might expect from a millennial, cobbled a job for himself by becoming the first and only employee of the National Millennial Community. And without further ado, let me have them give you your perspective, their perspectives.
Thank you. Hi. So, as Paul mentioned, we're part of the National Millennial Community. And just a little bit of background, we're a group of about 100 students and recent grads from across the country who get together to consult with executives, meet them in person and digitally, to talk about the future of the industry, to consult on projects that they're currently working on, and really provide the millennial mindsets, plural, of what our community sees in each respective problem. So my name is Veronica Mingrone. I graduated from the University of Florida in April with a degree in public relations and a graduate certificate in political campaigning. I held 15 internships before graduating. I started my freshman year of high school and served on the National Executive Board for the Public Relations Student Society of America.
And my name's LJ Furman, and I chose to go to a small state school. I went to Western Connecticut State University, and I graduated. And I chose to go there quite simply because I could afford it. And I paid my way through school, and I did all the extracurricular activities. I was the president of the American Marketing Association chapter. I had 3 different internships, one in sales, qualitative research, and digital strategy. And then post-grad, I got the opportunity to intern at McCann, New York in the brand strategy department. And then, like we said, now I've kind of created a job and an opportunity in working with the National Millennial Community and furthering our mission to change the conversation about our generation. So, we love to put millennials in this box. That's what all the Nielsen reports and the Deloitte reports and PricewaterhouseCoopers reports they do. They give these really interesting parameters of insight. But what we realized as a community is somebody needs to color in the lines. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to add a little bit more perspective and a lot of different perspectives to the millennial generation. So at our last summit meeting, and what our summit meetings are, is we gather our community of over 100 members, and we speak at organizations, companies, not-for-profits, and discuss some of the issues. And then we talk about the generation disconnect. And in doing so, in our last summit meeting in the Bay Area, we created this video which is kind of a fun and quirky way to combat some of the stereotypes and the misconceptions, so please.
Millennials only take selfies and are shallow narcissists and don't do anything good for society. Oh yeah, society's gonna like this.
"66% of millennials expect to leave their job by 2020. It's all about that early retirement, am I right?
Found out that I am a millennial. Do I now have to start growing out my beard and critique anything I find too modern? #millennial. Just because I'm a millennial doesn't mean I'm a hipster. How mainstream.
Millennials' contributions to society include cyberbullying, Kardashians, memes, bae, side-hoe glorification, and the popularity of Uggs.
You're welcome. Only #millennials would accept sneezing into the crook of your arm as a dance move. #dab, #millennial problems.
Millennials would rather spend 30 minutes swiping left and right than watching the news. I have to disagree. You don't have to just swipe left and right. There's that swipe up, that super like.
Hey millennials, the only app I needed to meet girls in the 1980s was an appetizer at my local restaurant. How's that working out for you?
It's like millennials either insist on knowing nothing about politics or they insist they already know everything. Thank God they don't vote, because there's no way that a millennial would actually know anything about anything, especially politics.
Millennials want a new deal. They'll work hard and be loyal if you help them develop skills to advance their careers. I don't know if that's a new deal. To me, that's the only deal.
Millennials are dumb because they aren't thinking what we want them to think. Maybe if we insult their intelligence, they'll come around. If you want us to think like you do, then stop pushing us away.
I am a millennial.
I am a millennial.
And I am Persian.
Latina.
And I'm an Asian who was born in Tennessee.
I am diversity.
I'm a millennial, and I'm more than a demographic.
And I am a veteran.
An athlete. And I'm an educator.
A Christian.
And politically active.
And I am a Republican.
Barack, he's awesome. I'm a millennial, and I'm someone who's willing to work 60 hours a week to get the job done.
I'm a full-time student, and I work 2 part-time jobs.
But I like to work smarter, not harder.
I'm passionate about giving back.
You can't define us.
Like it or not, we are your future. Hashtag millennials.
So this video received about 12,000 interactions, views on Facebook when we posted it not too long ago, in the span of about a week. And I think it's because it really struck a chord with a lot of people in our generation. As you can see here, we are not all the same. There's diversity that you can see, but more than anything, we are diverse as a mindset. We have people here who are very politically active on the conservative side, on the liberal side. We have people who are married, people who are single, people who are 34, and people who are 19. And that's just the point. When you have an age group that spans from 19 to 34, the insights about this age group aren't all that insightful. People think that they can lump us together and that we all represent the exact same thing. But at the end of the day, we really do need to segment our target audience and learn how people think, not just how they look. The reason that we think this is important is because of recruiting, which Renata talked about. As marketers, we're always told that you don't have a general population. There's not, a general bracket. You have to segment your audiences, and targeting those audiences are the only way to actually reach them. But then when you get to millennials, they're seen as the target audience. They're not seen as specific segments within that really that should be targeted, instead of being a holistic group. So the way that we see it is, if you are authentic as a company to who you are, to what you believe, you will attract the right millennials for it. Yes, there are people who do want to work at Google. I personally am not one of those people. You're going to have people who want that 9-to-5 job, people who pride themselves on being stressed. But you have to know which millennials that you want to serve your organization. Because if you try to be a Google and you're really not, you're going to get those millennials in your office, and they're going to be grossly dissatisfied with the kind of work that they're doing because they really never should have been there in the first place.
Right, so it's not only about who, it's about where. In our industry and what we've been talking about, we're so desperate for new and different thinking, but we're looking in the same exact places. So think of it from the student's perspective. At a small state school or a less known school, if a company is just willing to look at that university, then the staff, the professors, the career counselors, and the advisors, they're going to believe that the students have the opportunity to get the jobs at those big companies. And in turn, that's going to cultivate the belief in the students that they can get the jobs at those companies. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there's obviously a talent disconnect, but it's not a lack of talent. And it's not even just the fact that we can't find it. It's the fact that you have the opportunity to cultivate the new and different thinking that you need. And it does start from the top down, and it kind of goes all in a circle, right? What does that tell you? It tells you that belief is pliable. Now, the reality is, if you get applicants from a university like mine, you're going to get some average applications. We know this. But you also get some exceptional applications. And that's the one we're looking for. So we have to remind ourselves that it's not just about the school, it's about finding the right person. So teaching the most educated generation might be tricky. Now, 20% of millennials just graduated college, 40% are still enrolled in universities. So yeah, what does that tell you? We spend a lot of time in classrooms. But when it comes to entering the workforce and job retention, we are having an issue teaching them, right?
But, spoiler alert, that doesn't mean that we don't want to learn. Just going back to a couple of the myths that we've heard just today, millennials are needy, that they want, constant pats on the back, and, all the other generalizations that we're entitled, that we're lazy. But if you think about it, we've been in school for the last 15 years at least. And we come into the workforce where we were previously in an environment that we always got feedback, and where if we failed, our professors let us know what we did wrong so that we could study and improve for the next exam. We could ask questions if we didn't understand what we were doing. And we got guidance counselors to tell us how to advance to the next grade so that we wouldn't be falling behind, or if we were, how we could get on the path, again, to succeed. But then we get into the workforce where asking for feedback needs constant approval, and where you have questions, you're seen as needy, not inquisitive. And when you need guidance counseling, well, and then you end up jumping for a job for a better opportunity, you're seen as not being loyal to a company. If you're really looking for us to be engaged, I think it's time for us to reevaluate the perspective that we're looking at and look at the value proposition a company can offer by just having not only a mentor for you to ask your day-to-day questions, but also a career advisor who can really tell you how you can succeed within the company and set you for success before you even start to fail.
Right, so our mission is to change the conversation. In order to change the conversation, we have to have the conversation. So this is our segue in saying, you've heard some of our thoughts, but it's not just about our thoughts, it's about yours. So,
with that, thank you.
Thank you.